I want to tackle one doctrine that puzzles many people, and that's the Immaculate Conception. The Immaculate Conception. First of all, let's clarify what is the Immaculate Conception. As a kid, when I was growing up, I remember thinking that the Immaculate Conception was the famous pass that Franco Harris, the running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, caught. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but this was voted at SuperBowl.com the play of the century. It was the AFC title game, and Terry Bradshaw, it's the closing minutes of the game. It has the ball. He's the quarterback, and they're playing the Raiders, and the Raiders drop 7 back, so total prevent defense. And he's scrambling around and just throws the ball just to get it away. It bounces off of some guy's helmet, and the running back Franco Harris comes and makes a shoestring catch, and then runs it in the end zone for a touchdown. And ever since that moment, that play of the century has been called the Immaculate Reception. And as a kid, and I went to CCD religious class, I remember hearing about the Immaculate Conception, and what does Mary have to do with Franco Harris? I was confused, But another big confusion out there, a real confusion, is many people think the Immaculate Conception has to do with Jesus was born of a virgin, or Jesus in his birth. It's really not about that. It's more about how Mary was conceived in her own mother's womb. The doctrine states that Mary was conceived in her mother's womb full of grace, without original sin. Now, we have to try to unpack this, though, and understand what Catholics really believe about this. So I want to clarify a lot of things. First of all, Mary needed redemption as everyone else did. She's a human being. She's not the fourth person of the Trinity. She's in need of salvation. The difference is that she received the fruits of Christ's work of salvation in anticipation at the moment of her conception. Jesus, who's outside of time and space, applies what he did on the cross to Mary at the moment of her conception in anticipation. It's kind of like this. So Mary was completely dependent. She needed Christ's work on the cross. Christ just took it in advance and applied it to her. Now, to give an example of this, of how this works, there's 2 ways that we could be saved. So I like to give this story, a true story, about my wife's nephew. My wife had a nephew in Omaha, Nebraska, who was just a little toddler, and his mom was doing laundry down in the basement and had the child on top of the dryer and was unloading the washing machine over here and then putting new clothes into the washing machine, puts in the detergent, starts the washer starts going, and then she turns around and notices, oh, there's a few more clothes over here. So she opens up the washing machine as it's spinning around, goes over here to get the clothes, and then she turns around, and to her horror, she saw her son was no longer sitting on the dryer. That the son had, instead she saw 2 feet sticking out of the washing machine going like this. That the child had crawled into the washer. And so she had to desperately go in and pull the child out of the washing machine after he fell in. Now, there's 2 ways that mother could save the child. She could do it like she did. The child falls into the washer and is about to drown in the washing machine, and she pulls him out. That's one way. But if she had turned around maybe 5 seconds earlier and she saw him crawling and peering over, looking curiously inside, she could have caught him just before he fell in. In both cases, the child is dependent on the parent for its salvation. In one sense, you could be saved after you fell in, but in the other sense, you still need salvation. You're still going to be saved here because your parent had to intervene. Mary was saved in a unique way. We're saved by falling in. We've all entered into the world. We enter in with original sin. We don't have the life of grace in us. We need baptism to fill us with Christ's life. And that's how we're saved. But Mary was saved uniquely. She was saved in advance, in anticipation, before she ever fell into sin. That's how the Catholics understand this doctrine. So when I throw that out there, that often raises even more questions for my Protestant friends. They're going, okay, that sounds really weird. Why did God do that? Why would God do something extraordinary like that for Mary? Why would he exalt Mary so much and not the rest of us? And here's the key. The doctrine of the Immaculate Conception, this idea of God intervening in Mary's life at the moment of her conception, is not about Mary. Primarily, it's really about Jesus Christ. It's about the child that she was going to carry in her womb. It's to help us understand that Jesus is so holy. He's no ordinary human. Jesus Christ is the Son of God who became man and took on human nature, but he's God. And he's so holy that it's fitting for him to have a spotless vessel to dwell in for 9 months, a spotless tabernacle. If the Israelites used the purest of gold to make the Ark of the Covenant, which carried God's holy presence over it, how much more so God would use the purest of mothers to house his own son. And so Mary is created full of grace, not for her own sake, not to draw attention to her, but to help us understand how extraordinary Jesus is. Jesus is the Holy Son of God, and it's fitting that he would dwell in this stainless, sinless woman.